Yo, what's up, guys? Insane Game Freak here. I think I haven't decided whether I'm going to put the video as unlisted, let people click from a link, I put this on my second channel. I have no idea. Wherever you're watching this, thank you found the video. I'm probably going to post a bulletin about it though. And this is essentially, as you can title its plot stating, this is the Durarara spoiler discussion review-ish kind of video. I got a decent enough response from the Durarara video itself. Almost every comment on that video was saying I need to do a spoiler version. So it's going to be a review, but it's more of a spoiler discussion than it is a review. Like, I'm legit, like, this video, and yes, and for people who want to know, I'm saying this is a spoiler discussion right the fuck now, like within the first minute of the video. So if you do not want to be spoiled, or nor you have watched the series, do not watch the spoilers and then go watch the series, because you're not going to enjoy the series as much unless you can randomly forget shit in the course of like 20 minutes. That's all I'm saying, because one of the best things about this show is the shock value, and it's the same thing with Bakano. Like, if you were to learn the ending of Bakano or learn the ending of Durarara, it kind of ruins it, or just to learn information about the characters in these shows ruins the damn plot. That's what I'm saying. If you want the best fucking joy out of the series, do not watch this if you have not watched the series, because this is purely discussion based. So, with all that out of the way, let's talk Durarara, or Durr! Now, if I seem a little out of it, I just fucking recorded a High School to Dead Volume 3 unboxing that was total fail, for which if you've seen the unboxing you know why, but that's besides the point. So let's talk about Durarara. Let's talk about my initial reactions to certain shocking things in the series. I think the first thing we need to discuss, and this is the biggest, it's the first big shock in the series, is Mikado being the leader of the Dollars, because this totally threw me off like a motherfucker. It shouldn't have when in retrospect, considering, you know, when you mention almost all these characters had some weird ass backstory that made no sense in retrospect. But remember back then, I still thought Mikado and Henri were normal people. So I was thinking maybe that was the reason why. But when we found out he's the leader of the Dollars, that really threw me off, considering it's in the middle of learning about everyone else's backstories. It's not like Henri or fucking Kita. Kita's really fucking obvious. Like, out of the three backstories, the one that shocked me the most is fucking Regumene's, Mikado's, because it's like, holy shit, he's the leader of the fucking Dollars. And if you've been on the internet long enough, ever since this shit has aired in Japan, you know there's actually a dollar site on the internet, and I can link that in the description if you want. There's actually a fucking dollar site, because essentially what the Dollars is kind of like it's a fucking nice game. It's a nice gang. It's like a gang for like really cool, chilled out people who don't want to deal with all the gang bullshit, like getting into gang wars and fights and shit. Just doing good things. You know, that's the whole thing about the Dolls I really enjoy, and I enjoy the fact that he's the leader of it. And it kind of shows, you know, I thought that was really fucking cool. Now, also, this video is probably going to be fairly long, because I have a lot of things to say about certain aspects of the show. But in terms of shock value, Mikado's is the one that shocked the shit out of me the most. Henri's is kind of shock value, but what kind of ruins Henri's is that Henri is the, as I've said many times, even during the unboxing of the damn DVD, if you got the second volume of, if you got part 2 of Durarara, there's a postcard showing Henri with like red eyes and a fucking sword, which already gave, and if you looked at the card, you already knew there was something up with her. It was tripping. Also, just one other thing about the dollar stuff real quick. If you couldn't tell that their Bakano and Durarara are connected, during that whole thing when we find out Mikado's the leader of the Dollars, you should have noticed one thing around that episode. I forget if it's that episode itself or if it's an episode like after it. You see Isaac and Marion from Bakano in the goddamn anime, and it was so random. It's like it threw me off. I was like, wait a minute, I fucking know you. Now I haven't finished Bakano yet because I'm still digging around, But I know who Isaac and Miriam are. The thieves. The weird ass thieves who were married and shit. And it was crazy. Now, it would have been even more awesome if they could have got the same voices who did them in the Funimation Bakano dub to do them in the Aniplex dub. They couldn't, unfortunately, but that would have been awesome as shit to me. But in all seriousness, like, you could tell those two were related. If you couldn't tell, that should be a big enough hit in itself. You featured the same characters, the exact same characters. They're not under different names or nothing. It's Isaac and Miriam. You can't. It's the same fucking characters. All of it was awesome. We're getting into Henri now, because Henri is probably one of the most confusing things about Henri's backstory, and her whole issue with Saika is like the biggest issue with me. For those who didn't give a shit and want to be spoiled and ruin the experience, Henri is very emotionless and kind of like the Hinata type of girl, but a lot of that is due to the sword that she wields, which is like this demonic blade called Saika that drains people of their emotions, essentially because Saika is constantly loving them, which gets into a whole deep thing about love that I actually enjoyed going through with Henri. Honestly, if I thought I was gonna rewatch anything of Durarara, I'd rather rewatch the beginning of it, not the beginning. The only reason why I don't want to rewatch the ending is because Kita shit was kind of, yeah, like it's like the series is good, but Kita's to me honestly is the most uninteresting of the three, which is sad because Mikado's should have been like the most uninteresting, but I think it's because his was during the beginning of the plot, whereas Kita's is near the end of it, and Kita's becomes really fucking obvious. It's obvious. It's like it's hinted at the beginning, and it becomes really fucking obvious by the midway through the damn series. But what bugs me about fucking Henri's is this. Now, from her backstory, we've understood that parents got the blade. Her father was abusive, abused her and her mother. Her mother had the blade, and obviously couldn't control the blade, and lost her shit, and killed her father right in front of her, and then committed suicide right in front of Henri. What confuses me here, and I don't know if it's explained in the graphic novels, which I'll probably pick up because I heard, I think it's Yen Press. Yen Press got like the licenses to the Korewa Zombie Desuka manga and the Durarara manga or graphic novel, I forget which. So it may be explained in there, but I don't understand. How do you just witness your father's death and your mother's suicide? Well, actually, your father's murdering and your mother's death. Why is your first reaction to go up to the sword that your mother just used to do these two acts and grab it? Because it was so fucking confusing to me. I still don't understand that. And I'm probably gonna rewatch Durarara at some point. I want to watch Bakano before I rewatch Durarara, because I probably enjoy Durarara more because I'll notice the relation more of the relations. I got some of it because I've only watched like the first 5 episodes of Bakano, which in retrospect, I need to stop digging around with Bakano. That's like the tagline of this video. Durarara spoiler review. I need to fucking stop digging around with Bakano. But I don't understand, why would your first reaction be to touch the fucking sword? Why would you touch the sword? Like, just legitimately, you just witnessed your father's being murdered by your mother and your mother committing suicide right after. What? And she didn't even cry or freak out or anything. She just like grabbed the, well, no, I think I forget. I believe I don't even think she freaked out, honestly. If she did, I don't remember, but I don't think she freaked out. I think she just went over and grabbed the sword. If she's all disoriented. But at least I like that whole thing with Saika because it explained why she was so dead inside. Also, I liked the Saika stuff because we got to see Henri interact with other characters. Because up until that point, we'd only see Henri interact with fucking like bullshit interaction with Mika, girls who bullied her, a guy who wanted to get with her, and Mikado and Kita. That was it. Like, she was like one of the most distant characters out of them. Even fucking Kita was more fucking in there because we had known from the beginning that he was aware of like Simon and fucking Shizuo and Izaya. And it was ridiculous to me. And then But I mean, Ari's probably my. See, there's only like actually when I think about it, there's only 2 girls in the series, and I like both of them. I do. The one thing I am going to mention at the end of this is the thing with the relationships at the end and how they try to differentiate it from just being the viewer's perspective and the anime character's perspective. I enjoyed the shit out of that because there's a few because the anime ending is kind of open. It's like open ended for many reasons. For example, Kita, like by the end of it, they don't neither Masaomi or Ragumine real know about Saika. They just know Henri has some weird shit with a sword, but they don't know that it's a demonic blade that loves people. They don't know any of that crap. I think they are aware that Ragumine is the leader of the Dollars, and they don't even know any of the shit with Kita. They don't. They don't know any of this crap. And as an anime, as us the viewers watching it, it was a trip because most animes would address shit, but that usually meant involving breaking the fourth wall and making characters aware, or they would force characters to be aware. The one thing Durarara does through its entirety of its series, it doesn't try to force situations to make characters aware of everything that we're aware of as the watcher. Because by the end of it, Ari still, I keep forgetting, but I think Ari isn't aware that neither of them are aware of Kita's situation. They just know Kita was the leader of the Yellow Scarves. That's the only thing we learn. That's the only thing they know. And they even throw in some ridiculous shit with Henri liking Kita at the end of it, which I thought was even more ridiculous considering at the end of the damn anime, he's with his girlfriend. Like, he said fuck school and the city. He's just with his girlfriend. And I was like, I see how we're gonna play this game, but I think that was just to further extend the point that, there's a difference that the characters are real characters, and just because I'm watching it doesn't mean me knowing that he's with his girlfriend doesn't mean necessarily they mean that they're knowing it. And I like that whole situation they do towards the end of it. But I think we all fucking can agree that fucking Henri and fucking Henri and Masao, I keep hooking up the names. Mikado and Henri are gonna get together. I think that was the main thing. I think we're gonna, for the majority of us, can agree with. I'm pretty sure if I searched it, I'm gonna find Kita X fucking Henri, and it's bullshit to me because he has a fucking girlfriend. I kind of feel bad because he didn't tell Henri or Mikado about this. Like, they don't know he has a girlfriend. They don't know any of the shit he's been through with Exai. I think Henri suspected it. That's why you'll see it. That's why there's a scene in here where Henri's like attacking fucking Isaiah for random reasons and shit. I enjoyed the crap out of it. I believe the only other spoiler thing I can talk about, and it's probably one of the faults of Durarara, and that's the shit revolving Celti in her head. Because, she's a Dolahan, and she's been looking for a head. And what really tripped me out is that the police dude that's introduced in Season 2 and Shinra's father aren't used that much. And that really bugged me because they have the whole Isaiah's plan with trying to start a war and maybe awaken Celti's head. Even though at a certain point we realize that Celti just says fuck her head and just falls in love with Shinra like she was supposed to. They just fucking ignore it after a point. But that's a plot line that would have probably been more interesting to a lot of people. Like, I mean, this is the thing I give Durarara points on. Even though it had a better plot it could have used, the way it carried out this plot was fine. I didn't have any issues with the execution of this plot. But I think most of us would have been like, whoa, this would have been interesting shit if they had the war and it did some crazy shit. But then, I think that was just a road Durarara just refused to go down to. Like, I believe the creator just did not want to do that. Even though I don't know what they do in the graphic novels. Maybe they go down that road in the graphic novels, but I think maybe in the anime they just didn't want to go down that road because it'd be a little bit too ridiculous. But I mean, when it boils down to it, it is kind of a fault because you could have used the whole plot with Celti's head, even if you didn't want to pull it all the way out. I mean, you fucking revealed in like one of the midway episodes that Shinra's dad is the one who took Celti's head and sold it off and shit. And there's even more ridiculous point where you find out that Shinra knew at some point or another. Like, he knew before Celti, and he decided not to tell Celti when he found out. Which just makes him a selfish-ass lover. Which, In retrospect, it's kind of a dick move, but for whatever reason, Celtic wasn't as pissed off about it. I think it's because he was just worried that she wouldn't love him anymore if she got her head back. And he's kind of a selfish lover, but he's at least honest with it. And I don't know. I think that's what maybe Celtic likes because obviously she loves him. I also like that one scene at the end of the fucking anime where I forget if it's not the bonus episode. It's like the last official episode where she gets like into like a bathing suit and Shinra starts talking pervy like he usually does. And then he's confused because she's like just sitting there. He's like, wait a minute, you would have hit me in the face for normally saying some shit like that. Because he says like, oh, you're trying to seduce me? And then she's like, oh, the reason why I didn't hit you is because I am trying to seduce you. And he's just like, what? Fuck it, I'm not going to argue. Woo! That was kind of funny. But the whole Celtics head plot would have been very interesting because the whole thing with, her Shinra's dad selling it to Seiji's sister's company and shit, which they could have went into because that's what it kind of looked like it was going into in the beginning. Like if you watch the beginning, considering that focuses around a lot more around that company and the issues and Izaya and everything, it kind of looked like it was going that way. And I was like, you could have totally went this way. But I think Durarara just wanted to keep it simple because if it had gotten crazy, it would have gotten ridiculous. And I'll mention a few things in the bonus episode. I think the bonus episode has like the best fight in the goddamn series. It's kind of fucked up, but it has the best fight. It finally has like a full out fight with Izaya and Shizuo that still doesn't get resolved, but it's a good fucking fight. What was even more trippy is we were introduced to like Izaya's sisters, which I'm betting in the novels probably do more than they do in the episode, because in the episode, it's just weird. Like, his sisters are so weird. His sisters are weird and possibly lesbians, incest lesbians, and then on top of that, they can fight. So I was like, what the fuck? Also, the graphic novels do kind of hint that maybe Henri and Mikado like each other, which I think was the point. I think that was the point, is to get them to like each other. Because, I mean, you could tell from the beginning of the series that Mikado and Henri are going to get together. I was just like, what the fuck? Why are we digging around with this? Just fucking show them kissing. And the only reason why, and then they threw in the Kita shit about her maybe liking Kita, because Kita technically is the one that found out about the girl that was sneaking in on his meetings with his gang, quote unquote. That, that implied more of their relationship. Even though all that really was to boil down to was just her going, what the fuck? I don't know, I like the reaction from Henri, because Henri's like the most, I don't know, like, out of the three factions, Henri's the one that is the more paranoid one. And I kind of like the way they set the anime up, where it's just like, the war is in between three friends trying to protect the other friends. Even though Henri's little group is technically mind-controlled freaks, and Mikado's group is a do-gooder gang, and fucking Masaomi's group is a fucking group of his old enemies fucking him over in his own gang. And it was like, what the fuck? I'm trying to think if there was anything else in the series. Also, if you want to get into the dollar site, the password is Bakano, which I shouldn't even have to explain why it's Bakano, but it's fucking Bakano. I've mentioned most of everything I wanted. I guess the last thing I'll touch upon is Izaya. Izaya got a big ass reputation by the end of this fucking series. Period. Not even the English dub, just period. And that reputation is that Izaya is a fucking troll. Izaya is essentially, I kind of like Izaya's mindset in some sense. He's a dick, but I think the most annoying character to me is Masaomi, because they made him such a typical like lovesick character. And they even had him dwelling on something really weird, like through his little backstory about him like not saving his girlfriend, how his girlfriend was obsessed with Izaya, and why he hates Izaya. He has a justified reason for hating Izaya, but in retrospect, it's kind of his fault more than Izaya's, because he was so weak-minded, and I don't know why. But it's funny because he eventually joins the chat rooms, and oh yeah, let's talk about the chat rooms real quick. The chat room shit fucked me over when I figured out who the fuck was who on the chat room. Like, I thought the chat room shit was like on Ghost in the Shell chat room shit, where it didn't have a point. Because the Ghost in the Shell chat room shit, to me personally, now I've finished Ghost in the Shell, so I'm not 100% sure, but it seemed really fucking pointless. And here, it seems pointless until you realize who the fuck is talking. Because you realize that fucking, it's originally just Mikado, Isaiah, and Celtier just having conversations with each other before they even fucking met. And all of a sudden you see Saika come in there. And the first time you see Saika, you know she's doing the whole kill. What was it, like love, 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 or kill, kill, kill? I forget which. And then start saying Shizuo for whatever reason. It was like, what the fuck? And then we found out later that Saika's account was hacked. And Saika is honorary, which makes perfect sense. And then even by the end of the anime, you see Kita. And it, you know, some characters are aware that the other characters are like, that's them in the chat room. Like, I know Honorary and Celti were like doing that female bonding. Well, Masaomi and Mikado were doing that little bonding. And I think Celti knew that that was Isaiah, who was playing as Conroe and shit, because they all had different names. And that was crazy. But yeah, and the last thing I want to mention is, if anyone who's read the novels or whatever for Durarara, how ridiculous is Simon? Because that scene in Simon when he like punches the shit out of fucking Isaiah and then talks in this Russian, like hardcore Russian accent, it was just like, what the fuck? From what I hear, apparently Simon is like actually a Russian spy or some shit. Which makes perfect sense because there are a few scenes that make me question him appear. Like, making me question him, especially that fucking scene where he like throws the fucking knife across the goddamn restaurant and almost kills somebody. It's just like, okay, we're not gonna talk about this shit in here. They don't want none of this drama. Fuck this. But I have talked for like 22 minutes. I'ma go do something constructive with my life. Not really. Because tomorrow is when Catherine comes out as I'm recording the video. I know this video will probably be out way later than that. But as I'm recording, and it is 10:40, and it is July 25th. So we'll see when I post this and where the fuck I post it. But for all your discussions and, you know, conversations about this said spoiler discussion of Durarara, place in the comments, tell me. And you know what? I want to know, and if any of you hadn't have seen the series beforehand, or didn't know about the plot beforehand, why the fuck did you watch this? And more than that, why the fuck did you watch this all the way through? Just wondering. I didn't really spoil too much. I spoiled the majority of it, though. I didn't really explain Shizuo, and I didn't really need to. But yeah, I explained a lot of things. So, I believe that's all for me. So, life's a gameplay to win. The Insane Game Freak is out. And I actually think I've talked too much because my voice is starting to give out. So, see you later, guys. Peace.